Well, hey there. Welcome back for another episode of the Indianapolis Healthplex podcast. Again, always here to have a pleasure is Chris. Glad to have you. Today we have an interesting topic that we want to talk about, right, Chris?
Yeah. So today we want to talk a little bit about just the health risk assessment and the functional movement screening that we do here at the Indianapolis Healthplex. I think it's important that everyone knows what it is, how it can help them, especially as we come off of this time where it's really important that we stay active. We build up our immune system and we know how to exercise properly without getting injured. So,
Awesome. I think that's a great thing. That's just so many things that Indianapolis Healthplex offers to its members to really get them and help them really reach their fitness and overall health wellness goals. I think that's a great thing that we have to offer.
Yeah, and we approach all of our health risk assessments holistically. So, what I mean by that is when you come in, we look at your goals. We take your top three goals and we implement those into programming. So, if someone comes in and maybe they're an athlete and they want to get faster and stronger, they have a couple different goals there. They're in a specific sport like football where they're in a position where they need to increase agility, speed, but then also strength at the same time and power. Then we gear our programming towards that. So we have a really unique style here when it comes to exercise programming. We do ABC approach to programming where what we do is if we see you say 2 or 3 times a week, we have a 4 to 6 week program after that first time we see you and talk to you about your goals, go through that health risk assessment, go through the functional movement screen that we've talked about previously on the podcast. And we develop these 4 to 6 week programs very quickly within a week after seeing you, so that we're on top of it, we're proactive with things that you need to work on. And then what happens is, depending on how long, how many times a week we see you, and then how many times you want kind of a reassessment, we'll go through the SICA scan again, go through the functional movement screen again with you, and talk to you about areas that you've improved on. And 99.9% of the time you've improved on something. And sometimes having that reassessment component when you have a SICA scan that quantifies everything by the numbers, or a functional movement screen, likewise, that also quantifies things by the numbers with shoulder mobility, flexibility. Maybe you're looking to lose weight, the SICA scan, those kinds of things will pick those numbers up too. And so it's cool when we do these reassessments with people from start to finish, even after a month. Sometimes people will notice, like, wow, I've really improved my balance. I've mentioned this before, but have worked with older individuals and they come in and they're like, I really just need to be steadier on my feet. I need to be able to walk around and go up and down steps. If it gets icy out during the winter time frame, we're not in that right now, but while it's nice outside, to be able to do outside yard work or something like that, to help increase strength before the winter seasons and that kind of stuff. Those are things that are exciting goals to work towards, and by laying out these 4 to 6 week programs, we follow those pretty strictly, unless you have a session where maybe we've scheduled a couple workouts and you're maybe a little bit unbalanced during them, and we need to take a step back before we take a step forward with them, maybe because of safety or form and technique. And so those are some big things that we look at when we program is being proactive from the beginning. You may have had a trainer or someone that you worked with in the past that maybe you're just going day by day, and there really wasn't any formality to it. It was just, oh, we're going to do this today. And sometimes that's not always the best thing, right? Because then we can't progress when we need to, or we can't regress when we need to. So having that solid 4 to 6 week program is really beneficial, we found. So, yeah. And I think too, along those lines, going back to what is the health risk assessment? What is the functional movement screen? We've talked about it with our general manager, Adnan, here before, but highly recommend it, again, to members, non-members. If you feel like, especially during this time, we've got a lot of downtime now, and we've had time to think about our own health, whether we're going out on walks or going to the park, and just essentially building up immunity, right? During something like this, it kind of wakes you up a little bit to how you're eating, how you're sleeping, what exercise you're doing throughout the day. And so whether you're completely out of shape, haven't worked out in 15, 20 years, or you're someone that is on the higher elite kind of level as far as maybe you're doing triathlons, marathons, anyone and everyone we work with here. And that's a point that we really want to make clear to everyone, that it doesn't matter, how far gone you've as far as how out of shape you've been, or how your eating habits have been. We still want to talk to you because we feel like each and every person here deserves kind of their ability to reach their goals, and we want to help people get to those goals, and we're really passionate about that. So I highly recommend people call in, even during this time. Call in, schedule a health risk assessment. We can put you down on a list and then give you a call back later when we do reopen. That way we can get you set right away on the SICA scan, which again, kind of as a review, goes through your fat mass, your muscle mass, your hydration levels. It takes into account if you have any asymmetrical patterns going on, asymmetries. Maybe your right arm is a little bit stronger than your left arm, right leg's a little bit stronger than your left leg. It does a really good job of that. And then we move to that functional movement screen, which looks at balance, looks at flexibility, looks at your overall strength, and can be completed, that assessment, with anyone and everyone. And so if there's something that we deem you may not be able to do during one of those assessments, obviously we won't do that with an individual based off of their comfort and our comfort with that. But it's a great thing to do. Like I said, you can talk about nutrition with us. You can talk about your goals. Maybe you have a wedding coming up, or you have a trip. Maybe you just want to be able to pick up your grandchild, or get on the floor and play with them again. The goals can be endless, anything and everything. I've worked with a lot of individuals that have really high aspirations with goals. Maybe to hike around the Grand Canyon. I had one guy who wanted to hike down the Grand Canyon and back up with a group of people. And that was a life goal for him, was to be able to do part of that hike. And so it's very cool when you have those aspirations, have those goals, and as long as they continue to have that positive mindset, and you're able to help them from our end with that accountability, it's cool when those people can reach their goals. Those are fun stories to go back and share with other people, and good testimonies to be able to see in people that we've really helped. So
absolutely. I mean, especially during this time where a lot of people are at home, and as we're getting ready to the possibility of starting to open back up, I think that's something that necessarily you may be able to speak to is, what the HRA and what those things kind of do as far as from, someone who hasn't worked out in 20 years as someone who was, very consistent, and then we had the, shut down, and then all of a sudden we're back. So, how does that kind of relate to, the HRA screen and what kind of we can do here at the Indianapolis Healthplex?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of you hit it right on the nail. It's hard during times like this to stay positive and active, and just from not only a mental standpoint, but also just a physical standpoint of knowing what you need to do to get on track again. I know people that are pretty active before this kind of hit. Now they're not, and now we've kind of gotten into this lazier kind of period of time. Everyone's kind of guilty of that to some extent, I think. Even though we have more time, it's sometimes hard to get back in the rhythm of things. And so I think getting back to doing a health risk assessment, having accountability with someone here is great for that.
Awesome. Well, Chris, great to have you as always. So much knowledge that I always learn when we're talking in the midst of these, and I'm sure the members are getting the same thing, and people are listeners as well. So, anything else that you just want to add to the people, or say anything else?
No, we're doing great stuff here while everyone's gone. I know I out in the parking lot I was running into a couple members that were out there just speed walking and stuff. They're anxious. They're ready to get back in here, and we're ready for everyone too. And I think that everyone's going to be really happy with all the improvements that we made here, the locker rooms and everything. So got a behind the scenes kind of tour last week of that, and it looks awesome here. And I'm really excited to have everyone back and see everyone. So
awesome. I'm excited as well. Can't wait for the doors to open. But thanks again, Chris.
Thank you, Randall.
Always glad to talk and learn something new every single time.
Yeah, appreciate it, Randall. Yeah.
As always, you can catch us every single Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at noon for these podcasts. Join us next time as we have another interesting topic to learn more about offerings here at the Healthplex and things you can do for your better fitness goals. Thanks, and we look forward to tuning in next time. Bye.